doing tonight?
Good.
Good. So who all have seen me here before or somewhere else on your 6th grade assembly? I see 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, you poor guys. Well, you'll hear the same thing. But I'm glad you're here. So this was a pretty wild year, right? As if COVID wasn't wild enough. We had massive social upheaval. You know, we had cops getting assassinated, shot in the back of the head from behind. And I don't know if you guys saw the things that I saw that were done to the flag, but some of them, decorum prevents my mentioning them here, as Mr. Niedermeyer once said. So it's the same question, right? Why do we do this? What is the big deal? It's a piece of cotton, or these days nylon, right? It's got some dye in it. It's a nice design. Yeah, you know, it's been around a long time, right? Kind of an anachronism, right? And obviously we heard a lot worse this year, and not just this year. It was the same when I was a kid. That was a very long time ago. It was the same when I was middle-aged in the 60s. There were lots of riots then, much worse riots. Watts in LA almost burned to the ground the entire city. So, what do you guys think about the flag? What do you think about, you know, a big ceremony like this? Anything. Say anything.
It's a form of respect.
Yeah, it's a form of respect. Definitely a form of respect. And anybody think it's a bit over the top? I mean, I'm honestly asking, you know, I won't think any worse of you. Or maybe you know somebody that does. You know, maybe some of your friends say, oh, of course you'd like the flag, you're a Boy Scout, or something. No.
I don't think the majority of people have ever witnessed this ceremony. People take it for granted.
Well, yeah, you might be right, actually.
You know, they put them in the box at their wills or at the transfer station, and somebody's going to take care of them for us. They don't fully understand the proper respect and treatment and retirement.
That's probably right. What's the other way to dispose of American flag?
Bury it.
To bury it. So why burial? Why a fire? What's that all about? That seems kind of creepy, doesn't it? Or, you know, like a Masonic ritual or something. Why burial? Why fire?
So that represents the soldiers?
It represents the soldiers, right? And specifically why, you know, why a burial? Why a fire?
Well, I'm guessing the burials represent the dead soldiers.
That's exactly right. To represent a dead soldier. This flag has served honorably. It deserves an honorable burial. Or, as they did in the days of old, a fire. The greatest respect for a general in Norse times was to be burned on a fire. A pyre. Right? That's exactly right. Well, anyway, I'll tell you why it's a big deal to me. Some of you guys know that I was little. Well, I wasn't a little kid. I was kind of your age. I was in high school, right? And I wanted to play the clarinet. And I wanted to buy a clarinet. It was beautiful. In fact, some of my family found it after all these years, the exact clarinet. And it's worth like $2,500 today. I didn't pay that for it, obviously. I paid $140 for it, but in 1939 Iowa, $140 adjusted for inflation So I had a big bill to pay, and there was nobody that would pay me to play the clarinet besides the Iowa National Guard. So I signed up. I was not 18. I couldn't care less. My mom didn't care because it was money, and we had just about survived the Depression. We had, well, we never survived the death of my father. I was 11. We had just moved to California, and you don't get over something like that. But my aunt and uncle took us in and moved back to Iowa. He had a good job, which in the Depression was a big thing. He had a good job, an actual job, he got a salary, He didn't go hang out like the rest of us did at the end of the street, hoping that a truck would come by and we'd jump on and, to give us usually 50 cents a day. That was a pretty good day. No, he had a real job. He worked for Swift's Premium. You guys know them? They do bacon, which my grandkids love. Hayden loves bacon. So does Beckett. Raphael actually likes it more than anybody. So he worked for them. And they took us in, but they weren't about to pay for my clarinet, I can tell you that. So I joined the National Guard. Why not? Right? You got to go out for weekends. It's kind of fun. It's a lot like Scouts, right? You go camping, you practice in the band. One time we got to go away to a summer camp in Minnesota in 1940, which was good fun. So in 1941, in February, ironically, the exact day that over in North Africa, a guy named Rommel was arriving. I didn't know where North Africa was. I had no idea who Rommel was. All I knew is we got called up, right? The U.S. government said, okay, you were part of the Iowa National Guard. Not anymore. You are now a federal troop. Okay, well, FDR is the president, he can do that. George Marshall was his chief of staff of the Army, and he told FDR, that's all we got. There's war brewing. Most of us didn't know it. Certainly us kids didn't know it. What do we know? Who reads the paper, for Pete's sake? I had no idea. But I knew we were called up, and I knew we had to go down to Louisiana for summer maneuvers. Wow. How long? Could be 6 months. 6 months? Are you kidding me? 6 months? I have one parent. I'm not going to see her for 6 months? Yeah, you'll be home for Christmas. All right. As long as we're home for Christmas. 1941, right? So there we were, the morning of December 7th, 1941. A couple of friends of mine and I used to go out and sing in churches. We were a little quartet, It was a bit of fun. We loved to sing. We'd go out and sing hymns, and the old ladies would give us cookies usually or something, and we were starved all the time. You can imagine what Army food was like. We came back to base, and there was a guard at the gate. What is a guard doing there? Why would there be a guard at the gate? So we go up and roll over and like, hey buddy, you bored? He was not amused. Because he had a rifle, and we saw the barrel end of it when he lifted it up. And he said, IDs now. And that chill you get when all of a sudden something's happening, you don't really know what. You just know something's happening. All of a sudden everything had changed. And we could see through to Camp Claiborne. Everything was different. Nobody was hanging around. Usually on Sunday morning, a lot of guys were playing football or baseball or whatever. Nobody was playing sports. Because they all knew what we didn't, which was what?
There's a war.
Yeah. What happened December 7th, 1941?
Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor. Oh, by the way, thousands of guys your age were just killed in the space of 40 minutes. What? We're not at war. I know Japan's making some noise, but they're way far away. I know Europe's doing their own thing, but Europeans are always at war. They have been since Charlemagne, right? Thousands of years. So, what do you mean we're at war? Haven't you guys heard about Pearl Harbor? No, we were at this church. They're like, okay, go to your barracks, talk to your sergeant. So, 3 weeks later, we were on a train. 3 months later, we were on a ship. not knowing that we would be the first U.S. troops in the war. Nobody told us. Because we were high school kids in Iowa playing the clarinet. Nobody told us that our army was the 18th largest in the world, behind Albania. Can you imagine the United States of America having the 18th largest army in the world behind Albania? That was the reality. We had nothing. We had no guns. We had no uniforms. We had no troops. They resurrected these things from World War I. Well, this is actually a recreation because I don't fit in my uniform anymore. I know I look very svelte and, in great shape, but Hayden's wearing an actual World War I uniform of his great-grandfather, Lloyd B. Locke. But that was what we had. We had nothing since 1918. So we were using guns, bolt-action rifle, great for hunting deer, but not so good against a Panzer tank. That's what we had. And a bunch of farm boys from Iowa. So we were on a ship. Next thing we knew, we were on another ship, not knowing we were part of the largest seaborne invasion in history, called Operation Torch, November 8th, 1942. Only 10 months after Pearl Harbor, we're already in North Africa. Nobody had engaged the German army yet. We didn't really want to. We didn't know we were going to be the first. But we were the first. It was a night much like this. In fact, the moon was even in the same phase, if you can believe it. And we were on a hill. It wasn't really different from this one. It was kind of a low hill, but the rest of it was a desert, very flat, so the low hill stood out. And our general thought it'd be a great idea for us to be up there. A few hundred of us with our bolt-action rifles, 18 years old, and another couple hundred on another hill 10 miles away. Why were they 10 miles away? Because our very clever general never entered the country to deploy the troops. He looked at a map. Jebel Qasira, Jebel Hamra. Oh, they're pretty close. It's only like an inch apart. So they can support each other, right? He didn't look at the scale of the map. 10 miles. We were 10 miles apart. We couldn't even see them. We couldn't even see the hill. But, we had never fought the Germans. We were just hanging out. You just kind of shuffle. You go where you're told. Go here, get on this truck. Truck takes you there. You get out of the truck, get your gun, get your ammunition. Unfortunately, half the time, the ones that had guns had no ammunition, and the ones that had ammunition had no guns. We had no supply chain. We hadn't been at war since 1918. There was no supply chain. We'd open these crates, and there'd be things like hairbrushes. There'd be, 1,400 hairbrushes, literally like a trunk of hairbrushes. Well, that's useful. That'll be great. The captain of the headquarters, we were in the headquarters company, right? So we're in the band. His girlfriend sent him a gramophone. Do you guys know what a gramophone is? Like a Victrola you could play records on. They were like this big, and they had this big trumpet, and you put the record on, you crank it up, because that's just what you need in North Africa in a battle, right? It was absurd. It was good because, it provided levity.